moves. Let's bring in our next guest, Jovan Buha. He's the Lakers reporter for The Athletic. Jovan, thanks for joining us here. So Dennis Schroder comes over to Toronto. He leaves the Lakers. You reported that the Lakers had interest in bringing him back. That didn't materialize. Why do you believe that they decided to move on from him and go with Gabe Vincent instead?
I think from what I was told, they just felt Gabe was a slightly better fit for them, particularly offensively with his 3-point shot, his pull-up game. I think you really need shooting around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The MO against the Lakers the last few seasons has just been pack the paint. We know LeBron wants to get downhill, get to the rim. We know AD is going to post up or drive and try to get to the rim. So teams just pack the paint against the Lakers. And for as good as Dennis is and for all the things he brings to the table, he's a subpar 3-point shooter. And I think that kind of hurt the Lakers offense at times. So, it was a conversation internally about Gabe versus Dennis. There were people on both sides of that equation, but ultimately the Gabe side won out. And then on top of that for them, they were able to offer him a little bit less money than Dennis ended up getting from Toronto.
Right.
So I think for them, it was kind of a win-win of we could save a little bit of money and we could also get a player that we think is going to fit in, can replicate probably most of what Dennis does defensively, and then offensively has a little bit more off the dribble and shooting juice. So for them, that was the way that they viewed it. But I know it was pretty close, and it wasn't a clear cut, this guy's for sure better. It was just, we think he's probably a better fit for what we need.
Yeah, Jovan, let's look at the Raptors side of things where they get Dennis Schroder. What type of player are the Raptors getting in the locker room? Because we talked a lot last week with the Toronto Raptors and the culture not being there. Can Dennis Schroder fit into this new Raptors culture? And just how was he in the Lakers locker room this last season?
I think he can. I think Raptors fans are going to love Dennis. He's going to bring his freeze celebration, which is when he hits a three and hits the freeze. He got the Lakers doing it all of last year. It was, the bench would always do it whenever someone would make a three. And it just kind of became the team's like feel good celebration. So he said he's bringing that to Toronto. So we'll see. But no, he's a really good defender. He'll pressure opposing ball handlers full court. He'll get into them at the point of attack and pick and rolls and whatnot. He brings a lot of energy. He's just one of those spark plug players that can flip a game. I mean, I remember his first season with the Lakers because this was his second stint. There was a play against Denver where he dove on the ground for a ball twice in the same possession and secured it both times. So that just shows you the type of guy he is. I also think the league soured on him. Had the Lakers not given him this second opportunity, he was basically out of the league. They signed him late in August before last season. So I think he's also looking at this like this was his first chance to really test free agency after rehabbing his image. And I don't think he's someone that's just going to, come in and coast or not take it seriously. I think he's someone that's still hungry to show like I'm a high level player. And by the end of the season, he was closing games for the Lakers and took over that starting point guard spot over D'Angelo Russell. So really ended up to me being their fourth or fifth best player on most nights in the postseason. So I think it's a solid value contract, especially only a couple of years. And I think he's going to bring a lot to the Raptors.
Now let's talk about the Lakers. Now I think the big word with them is continuity. They're bringing back the core that went to the Western Conference Finals, kind of surprisingly last year. But they also, of course, added Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes. What did you make of the Lakers, who had a pretty tidy and efficient opening weekend to free agency?
I thought they had a really good free agency. They did everything they said they were going to do. They pretty much, GM and Vice President of Basketball Operations, Rob Pelinka, had two press conferences after the season. And in both, he basically laid out, we want to keep our young core together, which they did with Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Angelo Russell. And we want to upgrade around the fringes. And again, they view Gabe Vincent as someone that's going to be a great fit next to LeBron and AD because of his shooting. Made some big shots during that Heat finals run and really was a key contributor for them. Taurean Prince is the type of 3-and-D wing that they have not had off the bench. I think that's an upgrade over that Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, Malik Beasley spot that was kind of always rotating in the rotation. And then they took a couple flyers on Jackson Hayes and Cam Reddish. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of either of those guys in terms of their ability to contribute to a contender, but the Lakers have taken these swings in recent years with a Malik Monk, a Lonnie Walker, even a guy like Stanley Johnson, who had kind of been bouncing around, and they've been able to utilize those types of guys, those former lottery picks that are kind of just bouncing around the league, and figure out ways to make them more effective and efficient. So, we'll see. I think I could imagine Jackson Hayes getting a bunch of lobs from LeBron and in transition and the pick and roll. And with Cam, he's a guy the Lakers have wanted for a couple years now. So, and really it's low stakes vet minimum contracts. Like it's not a big deal if those guys don't pan out. But I think that the last thing for them is they need another big man. That's their plan for that 14th roster spot, trying to sign another center, someone that they could trust in the playoffs, potentially behind Anthony Davis. And I think if they get that guy, they've had as good of an offseason as was realistically possible, barring like a trade for a third star. So, kind of with that in mind, I think they are in that mix right now with Denver and Phoenix at the top of the West.
Jovan, I still think, and I feel like many people do, that this Lakers team goes as LeBron James goes, and a healthy LeBron is still the key for them in terms of wanting to contend in the West. Am I off the mark there? Or am I pretty close to maybe the thinking that you're in as well?
Oh, 100%. I think this is still a star-driven league, and you can have depth and you can have nice supporting cast, but if your stars, I mean, the reason the Lakers lost in the Western Conference Finals to Denver was because Denver had the clear-cut best player in that series, and Nikola Jokic, and arguably the second best player in that series with Jamal Murray. So I think you win in the playoffs off of your stars and their performance. And look, LeBron's going to be year 21, age 39. He's already had the best season we've ever seen from a 38-year-old and a player in year 20. But how long can he keep that up? And there were moments in that second half of the season after he came back from his injury and even in the playoffs where he didn't look right. And I think part of that was health related, but part of it's just he's 38 and he has so many miles on him. So he gave it all in that game 4 and did have some big games in the playoffs, but I just wonder how long he can keep that up. But if he can, I think this is as good of a shot that the Lakers have had to win a title, arguably since the 2019-20 season when they did win a championship.
Yeah, this is so different for all of us watching LeBron James. You're not used to him being injured, right? He's been a healthy guy throughout most of his career, which I mean, the emphasis now needs to be put on other players to help him out, like Anthony Davis, right? Do you see a future where Anthony Davis is no longer a Los Angeles Laker?
No. I think LeBron and AD have a much closer relationship than is often talked about. Their lockers are right next to each other. They're always talking and joking and hanging out, and I think they have a really good relationship. So, of course, down the road, if LeBron's not there, maybe the Lakers go in a different direction, and they rebuild or they try and go after another star. But I think as long as LeBron is there and the plan is let's contend for championships, let's have the best team possible around LeBron, I believe Anthony Davis will be there. And if anything, I think kind of to your point, they can run more of the offense through Anthony Davis. They can give him a bigger role. And you kind of saw that at the beginning of last season. The first couple months, I wrote a couple stories about it, and it was really the buzz around the team was this is now Anthony Davis's team. He's the number one option. He was averaging in the high 20s. He was taking more shots than LeBron. And it was looking that way. Then he got injured for a couple months, comes back, and was just never really the same player offensively. So I think for the Lakers, if they can continue what they had in the beginning of last season and really just say, hey, AD, like, we got the pieces. You be New Orleans AD. You be the AD in the bubble and just dominate offensively. If he can do that, like, I think he's an MVP candidate. He's probably an all-star again, like, and they could be a top 2 or 3 seed. But if it's all on LeBron in year 21, or at least he still has to be the focal point, I think that's where you could see this team potentially underachieve in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm with you. AD is crucial, man. He's really crucial to this Lakers team. Jovan, thanks so much for doing this, man. Let's reconnect during the season.
Let's do it.
All right, take care. That's Jovan Buha of The Athletic, Lakers reporter.